going to be Evernote Lesson 6 video. Today we're going to get into some of the nitty-gritty, some of your major questions going on, and that includes how to get information into Evernote, and secondly is going to be about security and encryption, which is always one of my frequently asked questions when I talk about Evernote and how much sensitive information I put into it. So let's first start with getting information into Evernote, because there's so many different ways. Again, I'm 100% paper, well, 95% paperless. I have some obviously more important documents that I keep that I do need paper for, such as birth certificates and things like that. But other than that, getting information into Evernote is super easy, and there's many ways to do it. Okay, so I do think this is probably one of the best parts about the Evernote ecosystem. They make it super easy to input as much information as you want to store or reference. So let's review how to typically get information into Evernote. Now I will tell you, we kind of went over the subscriptions back in Evernote Lesson 2, so there is limitations on how much you can put in on a per month basis on the free version and on the plus version. So if you have the premium version, it's unlimited, so you won't have any issues. So first of all, your phone. Your phone is what you carry around with you all the time, and it's an easy way to put information in there. So it's a phone application, a tablet application on your iPad or Androids. So you can take pictures through the Evernote app. You can use a document scanner. So within the Evernote application itself, there's a scanner. You can do Post-it note scanning. You can do business card scanning, which is a premium feature. But if you have the premium version, you can pull in the LinkedIn information. So as a professional, it automatically, once you sign into your LinkedIn account and connect it to Evernote, it'll rip information from the LinkedIn profile of that user, which is very useful. It brings in their pictures and things like that. I like putting, I think of ideas all the time. Some of them are good, most of them are probably bad. Either way, though, I love putting information in Evernote because sometimes it can materialize into something more than I ever imagined. So the Evernote application is great on the phone. However, it's a little slow on the quick idea thing. So I downloaded an app called Fast Ever, and it's a quick application. I click on the app, comes up, I type in or dictate whatever I want to say in that note, and it goes, after I press send, it goes directly into my inbox. Which is my default folder here. So that's the app I use. Again, Fast Ever. It's a good quick app to use. So again, I already mentioned the tablet or the iPad. It'll sync across all devices. So whatever application or tablet or device you're using, you'll always be able to see it. Now, one of my favorite ones is the web clipper. So I'm going to pull up Chrome here, and this will work on Safari or Chrome or Firefox. This is one of my favorite websites, is Lifehacker. So no matter what you're viewing, doesn't matter what website you're on, it can even be in your Gmail. And if you want to clip on your emails and send them to your Evernote account, that's very useful as well if you have confirmations and things like that. So if I'm scrolling through a website, I see an article that I think would be beneficial, or something I might want to reference, or something I might want to share with somebody later on. You can see at the top of my toolbar here, this is an extension in Chrome, is Clip to Evernote. I'll go ahead and click on this. As you can see, Evernote automatically outlines the article. It gets rid of all of this ads and extra stuff. And that's based on a setting. So I can use a simplified article, which will rip everything out, and it'll just have a couple, it should just bring up the articles here. You can do the full page, which will bring in even the ads and whatnot. You can do the bookmark, or even just a screenshot of what you want to say. I typically want to stay with the article. It's nice, clean. It gives you all the information you need to here. So you can name your title. You can name this article whatever you want. I usually keep it whatever it says here. Just because that's the article that you want to see. Here, it organizes, once you start clipping enough information, it'll organize that information for you. So it already knows that I have a tag called Lifehacker. I like keeping up with my Lifehacker articles. And where do I want to put it? I would probably want to put this more into the work category. Work. And so I'll save it, and it'll go into that work notebook with the tag of Lifehacker. So you can customize this in the way it does. It's not accurate every time, but it gives you a good jumping off point. It'll try its very best to put it where you think it should be. And so we'll save it here. Clipping, syncing, it'll tell you it's complete. And you also, it's really nice because it'll relate it notes, clips from Lifehacker. These are things that I do have in my Evernote that are related articles. And I can also already share from here, which is really neat too. Many different ways to do it. You can go ahead and set a reminder from this as well, which we talked about last video or a few videos back. So, a few other ways that, again, I just want to spend a little bit of time on that clipper. Next is if this, then that. This is a really cool website. This is essentially an automation tool, which we can go over here. I'm not going to dive too much into this. But essentially what this does is automates and triggers between applications. An example can include sending daily Fitbit reports to my Evernote. I'm a big Fitbit user. I want to know how many steps I'm taking, calories I'm burning. So I send this directly in Evernote and I keep a log of that information. I can automate backups for my iOS contacts. So my contact list is all backed up into Evernote. So if I did lose my phone or whatever, you can back it up to the cloud, you can back it up to Evernote. There's many different reasons. I just keep everything in Evernote, so it's a one single location for me. We're going to dive more into IFTTT in a later episode, but I just wanted to mention that there's definitely a mechanism to put information into Evernote for that. Scanning. Scanning is a really good way to do it. So again, completely paperless. I have a ScanSnap scanner, tongue twister. And what ScanSnap does is it has a program feature where it scans documents directly into Evernote. So I don't scan it to my computer and then transfer that document from my computer into my Evernote. This goes directly into my inbox, which is really nice and easy to organize and makes it super simple. And Evernote actually has their own scanner as well. It's pretty steep and expensive, around $500. I got my ScanSnap for about $200, and it was an extremely good investment to have. And articles. So I've heard a couple people read or tell me about how they read their articles, and I'm pretty much the same way. So I'll go through Zeit, Feedly, Flipboard, and I save everything to Pocket. So Pocket is just a way to read articles and save them, so I don't have to read those specific articles at that given time. I can read these articles when I want to, so I build them up. From Pocket, though, they have a nice sharing extension where I can save into Evernote. Now, I don't want to save every article I read into Evernote. That'd be a waste of time. I only want to save articles that I think I'm going to reference later, or maybe how-to videos, or whatever. There's many different things to do, but it's a nice, easy way to have it built in for convenience to put into Evernote. So those are just a few mechanisms to get information into Evernote. The second part of this video, I really want to focus on security. Security is a huge deal for Evernote, and I just want to show you. They had a really good blog post on the 3 laws of data protection for your Evernote, and they break it down into 3 categories. And I'm going to post this as in the note links. So if you do decide if you want to go more into detail on this, feel free to read this. I think it's very beneficial and it kind of gives you some ease of mind. But in a nutshell, let's see here. Sorry. Actually, and I'm going to be upfront and honest, Evernote was hacked back in 2013. They took some serious precautions once that happened. There's been major improvements, including 2-step verification, which I highly recommend using, considering how much personal content that I put in this application. This is a little less convenient to access the content, but I'll sacrifice access for peace of mind any day. So for those of you who are not familiar with 2-step verification, every time I log into Evernote from, let's say, my work computer, I receive a text message with a 6-digit code on my iPhone, and that I must put into Evernote to log into that information. So People who are, if I'm getting monitored at work for whatever reason, they're not going to be able to log into my Evernote account without that password from my phone, so they'll never be able to see that information. All right. And also, if for some reason you don't have your phone around you, there is a 16-digit backup code that you can put into place once you sign up for two-step verification, which I store on my phone. So I don't need two-step verification if I log into Evernote from my phone, so I always keep that there. So let's dive right in to this. So 3 laws of data protection, 3 buckets. Your data is yours. Essentially, Evernote doesn't own your data, but you are given Evernote permission to back up the content and send it over to the network and index it for searching. So again, they're not looking at the information, but they do have access to it. You retain the rights to all your data. Number 2, your data is protected. It's not a big data company, and they do not make money from your content or sell your information. That's exactly what Google does, but Evernote will not do that. They're going to analyze it to a certain features such as context and search functions, so there's more algorithm-based functions in here, and that's more premium versions anyway. You're able to give your access to third parties, but you can always turn them off. So like Pocket and any third-party extension applications like IFTTT, you can give access to those third parties, but you can always retract them if you need to. Anything in a synchronized notebook is backed up to an offsite server, which is nice. So if my computer were to die or whatever the case is, that's my Evernote content. It's not going to be harmed by that. I always have it available on my phone or any other device. I already went over two-step verification. Communication between Evernote clients and servers are all encrypted. So again, if your information is being transmitted over a network, it's all encrypted while it transfers. So I feel comfortable with this. I've never had any reason not to believe this information. There's billions of users who signed up for Evernote, so I feel very comfortable with it. And last is your data is portable. There's no data lock in Evernote. You can always take your data out of Evernote if you need to, and you can transfer your notes and content into a HTML or an XML format. Essentially, you could just move it over and back it up onto a hard drive if you need to. So Evernote's really won my trust over the years. I still take extra precautions with ultra-sensitive information with encryptions. Encryptions are another way to give information and your content an extra layer of security. Think of it as a safe within a safe. So if I were to exit out of this, let me go back to my Evernote here. If I had sensitive information, let me give you an example. Let's just say I have a social security number of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's probably not enough digits. One more. And I don't want that information being shown, but I want to keep this information. Let's say I want to store my wife's social security. I don't memorize my wife's social by any means, nor do I expect to yet. That's only we've been married for less than a year. So I can add an encryption into this. So I would highlight the text that I want encrypted, right mouse click, and as you see it says encrypt selected text. Go ahead and click on here. It's going to come up, it's going to say ask for an encryption passphrase. So let's say I put it in here. And then voila, now you can't see this information. And as you saw before, we'll do the same thing for just these random selected texts. So for me to go back and put in that passphrase, you would just click here, show encrypted text. I clicked a little link below that said I don't have to put in that password every time for encryptions until I quit Evernote. So I could quit Evernote, come back in, and then I have to type that password in again. And there's a hint that you're able to put in there. So please make sure it's a hint and a password that you can remember. Let's see, there's again First, we already went over how to do the highlighted text. It could be any password. It should be different from your account password, but you must be careful because if you forget this, your text is gone. You won't be able to open up that information that you see here. That's going to be lost forever. Evernote cannot do anything for you here whatsoever. Again, it's luckily you can put that hint to help you remember. I keep my encryption key passwords consistent throughout Evernote personally because now I know what all my encryption passwords are, but that's really completely up to you. There's also some keyboard shortcuts on how to do this. If I highlighted the text, you can do for the Mac version Command Shift X, and on the Windows version it's Control Shift X. And I just showed you how to do an example there. So there's many different ways to do this. I use a password manager inside my Evernote. I don't want to show you this only because it does contain sensitive information. But for every user login and ID that I have, I keep it in Evernote. I actually have a nice categorized list of all my usernames and logins and passwords, but all my passwords are encrypted on here, so it makes it nice and easy. I use 1Password for my all my stuff, but it's always good to kind of have a backup in there, and I use Evernote as that backup. So I know the video ran a little long, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Any questions, comments, feel free to always email me. In the next lesson, we're going to cover safe searches, OCR, which is the optimal character recognition, and some note merging. So we'll get into a little bit more functions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.